All right. Rebecca's story begins in 1968 when her mother was walking to the grocery store at night and was abducted by a serial rapist. She was raped at knife point and forced to conceive Rebecca. Rebecca's mother contacted the police and was referred to a rape counselor who recommended an abortion. The counselor set her up with 2 back alley abortionists. For the first, she said, it was the typical back alley conditions that you hear about as to why she should have been able to safely and legally abort me. Blood and dirt all over the table and floor. Then, she got hooked up with a more expensive abortionist. This time, she was to meet someone at night by the Detroit Institute of Arts. Someone would approach her, say her name, blindfold her, put her in the back seat of a car, take her, and then abort me. Then, blindfold her again and drop her back off. This is the first-hand account of Rebecca Kissling. Now, the fear of this process caused Rebecca's mother to decide against an abortion. So, she carried Rebecca through and soon after her birth, put her up for adoption. After 18 years, Rebecca learned her story and now stands as an advocate against abortion in all cases. Rebecca's question to anyone who believes that abortion can be justified by a circumstance is, are you telling me that my life is not just as important? My name is Timothy Skirbitz, and abortion is wrong in all cases and should not be regulated. First off, abortion is murder. Nextly, murder is always wrong, and we should never regulate murder. Abortion is murder. Murder is always wrong, and we should never regulate murder. Abortion is murder. Now, there's a difference between killing somebody and murdering somebody. To kill someone is defined as taking the life of another person. Most people would say it is okay to kill someone. If someone ran through the front doors right now with a gun and said, everybody get on the ground, I'm gonna shoot all of you. And Mr. Rowland stood up, and he's a law-abiding citizen, and he shot him, we wouldn't say, dang, Mr. Rowland, why'd you shoot him? We'd all praise and thank Mr. Rowland. Thank you for saving our lives. So, murder is defined as the unlawful killing of a human being with malice aforethought. To murder someone means there was malicious intent and forethought behind the action. A man gets mad at his wife and hits her, leaving her dead. He has murdered his wife. A man goes in to rob a store, shoots the store owner, leaving him dead. He has murdered the store owner. A man runs into a school, shoots somebody, leaving them dead. That man has murdered that person. When a mother or a doctor decide to end the life of an unborn baby by means of an abortion, they have not just terminated that baby, they have not just killed that baby, they have murdered that baby. Abortion is the intentional killing of an unborn human. All abortions are on-purpose, intentional executions of unborn humans. By definition, there is no such thing as an accidental abortion. Abortion is murder. There have been at least 63 million babies aborted since Roe v. Wade in 1973. Roughly 61 million in the first trimester, 4 million in the second trimester, and roughly 600,000 in the third trimester. But they did not all die the same tragic death. There are multiple procedures doctors use to murder babies. Today we're going to talk about a dilation and evacuation procedure, which is the most common second trimester procedure and otherwise known as a D&E procedure. Now, a murderous abortionist will say that a D&E is performed by dilating the cervix and evacuating the pregnancy tissue using forceps. What this really means is that a D&E involves dilation of the cervix, and then the baby, who is anywhere from 1 to 40 weeks old, about the size of a penny to the size of a watermelon, is ripped apart, limb by limb, completely dismembered, the head squashed by forceps, and the remains sucked out by a vacuum. 95% of abortions after 21 weeks are D&E procedures. This means that babies the size of newborns are subject to a type of death that any normal human would consider an extreme form of torture. So, abortion is murder, and murder is always wrong, right? If there were truly something that could justify a murder, then it would never have been a murder. Murder is a crime regardless of the circumstance, and abortion is murder. Many people who support abortion use extreme talking points like rape and incest in order to justify their stance. This is intellectually dishonest because these cases represent a very small portion of the issue. In the case of rape, 1% of abortions are because of rape. In the case of incest, less than 0.5% of abortions are because of incest. Now, if someone truly believed that there was nothing wrong with abortion, there would be no need to twist the morality of it and cite extreme cases like rape and incest to prove a point. Also, though, rape and incest cannot justify abortion. If they could, it would mean that because of the situation of the conception of the child, its life is inherently less valuable. These are the most innocent people on the planet we're talking about here. Rape and incest are both evil, but the baby should not be punished for the crime. Some argue that abortion should be legal in the case of the health of the mother. The health of the mother is a phrase used often, but it normally implies something much more broad than most might think. In the Supreme Court's 1973 abortion case, all third trimester abortions were declared to be illegal unless the health of the mother was at risk. However, since the Supreme Court defined health to include physical, emotional, psychological, or familial trauma, they effectively made abortion legal through all 9 months of pregnancy, for virtually any reason at all. Therefore, making an exception for the life of the mother is by no means comparable to making an exception for the health of the mother. Since the health of the mother can mean practically anything, we must be more specific and discuss the life of the mother. The life of the mother is another talking point often used to justify abortion, but it also creates a false narrative. Abortion is never necessary to save the mother. So, let's dive into the nitty-gritty. What would happen if the physician stopped to kill the child before treating the mother? She would likely die too. This is because abortions in the second and third trimesters, when major pregnancy complications can increase in severity, require a dilation process that takes days to complete. The medical reality is that the baby would likely be delivered early and provided a chance to live, or, if that wasn't possible, the baby may die as a result of attempts to provide the mother with emergency treatment. But again, this is not an abortion. So, then, ectopic pregnancy is the only first trimester scenario in which continued pregnancy poses a legitimate threat to the mother's life. Well, what is an ectopic pregnancy? An ectopic pregnancy is when a fertilized egg grows outside a woman's uterus, somewhere else in their belly. It can cause life-threatening bleeding and needs medical care right away. In more than 90% of the cases, the egg implants in a fallopian tube. This is called a tubal pregnancy. Medical breakthroughs are happening in embryo transplantation, which is a surgical procedure in which the physician transplants the embryo from the fallopian tube, the wrong place, to the uterus, the correct place. But because abortion is accepted as standard treatment, this area of research struggles to move forward. Outside of surgical solutions, several large studies have shown that a careful, informed, wait-and-see approach leads to a spontaneous correction 52% of the time. This means that the embryo naturally unattaches and reattaches in the correct place. In cases where resolution does not happen, surgery is currently indicated as the only option, despite substantial evidence of nearly 100% maternal survival rates with interventions such as autotransfusion. It's important to note that even when a surgery like this is performed, it is not an abortion. Instead, it is an indirect and unintentional cause of the child's death if the child does die in a procedure like that. It is not murder. There is no argument to be made for abortion using the health of the mother. Even if there were, murder would still be wrong. Every exception made is another life lost. Picture this. It's the 1940s. You live in Germany. And your friend comes up to you and he says, "Man, this Holocaust, it's a horrible thing. I hate that we're killing innocent people." And your friend says, "You know what, man? I really, really want to stop the killing of innocent people." And you say, "Yeah, man, I'm with you on that 100%. Preach." And your friend says, "Here's what we're going to do. I have a plan. We're going to advocate to get rid of all the concentration camps." And you're thinking, "Yeah." And then your friend says, "Except for Auschwitz." You say, "Huh? What? You can't do that. Those are innocent people that are still being murdered." So, in the same way, abortion. Friend comes up and says, "Man, abortion is wrong. 63 million people? That's insane." You say, "Yeah, man, that's disgusting. You know, it's horrible." And your friend says, "You know what? We're going to outlaw abortion. Except in the case of rape, incest, the health of the mother, the life of the mother, and whenever the baby has a severe disability." You say, What? Those are still innocent people that you're taking the life away from. So, abortion is wrong in all cases, and it should not be regulated. It is wrong to regulate abortion. Instead, it should be outlawed. The law should not regulate how a criminal should murder someone. Rather, it should outlaw murder. The same goes for abortion. Abortion is murder, and it should not be regulated, but rather, it should be abolished. Just because rape happens does not mean that the government should present laws to make rape less egregious. Even though some abortion regulations may be presented with good intentions, they backfire by further cementing abortion into law and making it more difficult to abolish abortion. With these regulations, what they're then saying is that an innocent human can be legally executed whenever a legislature so decides. And that makes that innocent human being a non-person. So, some terms. The belief that abortion can be put to an end through a step-by-step process that involves pushing regulations that make abortions harder to get can be called incrementalism. Compromised incrementalism includes abortion regulations that reaffirm abortion into law. Some people truly believe that all abortion regulations are helping the cause to end abortion, while some understand that creating certain compromised regulations actually further cement abortion into law. There are good abortion regulations that make abortions truly harder to get without reaffirming abortions. This kind of incrementalism is acceptable, but compromised incrementalism is not. Incrementalism is wrong when it is compromised incrementalism. Outlawing abortion in one state, or one country for that matter, is not immoral, and stopping only one or some abortions is not immoral. But compromised incrementalism describes any pro-life effort to reduce abortion that itself violates God's enduring command, do not murder, and thereby actually undermines the personhood of the child. Any pro-life law that ends with, and then you can kill the baby, is compromised incrementalism and undermines the very hope of saving children, in that it furthers the public belief that the government can legitimately authorize the intentional killing of an innocent child. This is a quote from Bob Endor. What incrementalists fail to realize is that compromised incrementalism creates a negative outcome on the overall goal of abolishing abortion. The regulations make abortion stronger and harder to abolish. Child-killing regulations just prune the abortion weed and strengthen its root. Compromised incrementalism makes abortion seem more acceptable to the public, to the judges, and to the politicians because it further affirms abortion into law. Any law that can be identified as perpetuating the idea of, and then you can kill the baby, can be classified as compromised incrementalism. These laws are morally and strategically wrong. There have been 1,300 new abortion regulations since Roe v. Wade. Many of these are compromised regulations and have not saved a single human life. So, picture this. It's a weekend, you're with your family, you want to go to an event at the BOK Center. Sounds great, except parking is packed, like usual. So, you veer off into a little road, and you see a parking spot on the side of the road, and it's empty. And the sign says, no parking Monday through Friday. But it's a weekend. It's a Saturday, so you can park there. In the same way, and then you can kill the baby laws. While there are examples of both good and bad abortion regulations, there is one common factor. The bad ones always come with this phrase, like, first you have to sign this paperwork, and then you can kill the baby. Or, you have to wait till the baby is a certain age, and then you can kill the baby. Or, you have to administer fetal painkiller, and then you can kill the baby. These laws always undermine morality and the law of God in reaffirming and authorizing the murder of unborn humans. Any questions?